A few things I wanted to discuss here and why I was wrong on the Bitcoin head and shoulders. Thank goodness I didn't take a bearish position and I only trimmed. Before I get into this, make sure to come to ztrades.net and go to our terms and conditions. Read through that. Nothing I say is financial advice. Do not allocate any of your money to anything I say. Consult with a financial professional. If you'd like to join our Discord, the link is right there. You can simply click join us here on our home page. But let's jump right into it. Perfect inverted head and shoulders, right? Why was this important to me? Fundamentally, we're bullish, okay? And technically, we're bullish. They both line up, right? And what was the result? That was insane. 42 to, 73,000 on futures, on Bitcoin futures here. That's insane. The thing almost doubled. And not that long, and like about a month, right? Month and a half, pretty much a month. Now we have a head and shoulders, beautiful head and shoulders. If this was an equity, it probably would have fallen, right? Well, we're fundamentally bullish, but we're technically bearish. Who's going to win, right? Over here at the bottom, on this inverted head and shoulders, two bulls showed up to a party to fight with the bears, and the bears never showed up. What was bearish? There wasn't anything bearish. It had hardly ran. Right? Now, over at this match over here, I'm using analogies here. A bull and a bear showed up. Who's going to win? Right? You have BlackRock, who's bought up 1%. There's still people that say this is a scam. It's not backed by anything. BlackRock sure thinks you're wrong. BlackRock's bought up 1% of the supply. They're having supply issues. They're just about to have the halving. When that halving happens, we're coming up on April. It's March 27th right now. We're about 23 days away or so? 20, anywhere from 18 to 25 days away, right in that range. Just because it happens doesn't mean it immediately shoots up. It has to fundamentally affect everything, right? So miners, again, for those of you that are watching any of my videos for the first time, are responsible for about $1 billion a month in selling. Okay? They are rewarded Bitcoin. So miners are mining around 900 Bitcoin a day. That's going to be cut in half to around 450. They're going to have half as much to sell. They can't sell more when they're not accumulating as much because it's not, you can't just buy it and then, all of it's not bought and then they can dump it. It doesn't work like that. They're mining it. There's going to be half as much to mine, and it's capped. On top of that, we haven't had the halving, and they're having supply issues. What do you think that's going to look like after the halving? It's going to take about 2 to 3 months to kick in. I'd say anywhere from 2 to 4 months for it to really, really kick in, where it's just there's just nothing available, right? Most of the people that hold Bitcoin, I think it's around 80%. I'm shooting from the hip here on those numbers from what I remember. Hold Bitcoin. They don't sell it. So just because there's Bitcoin in existence doesn't mean that it's available to buy on the open market, right? So you can imagine what's going to happen here. And then all the idiots that are FOMOing. Oh, I'm going to wait for it to come down, right? Like every year, instead of it's painful to do the right thing. When it was drilling and going straight down, it was flat. Oh, maybe it's going to go back to 16 again, and then maybe 12. That's what my Fibonacci's say. 12,000 is where it's going to go. No, I don't think so, right? I was surprised it even broke 20 because usually it never breaks the. I'd have to pull it up on a chart to explain what I'm about to say. I'm getting too far off topic here, but then we're going to have people that are FOMOing, that are coming in when it breaks 100,000, because that's what the average Joe does. And when I talk to my friends, you know what I mean? Whenever I'm like, I explain Bitcoin or Ethereum and what it is, I never tell anybody to buy, right? I explain what it is. Here's why I'm buying. Then they don't do it. And then when it explodes, then they do it. And then it goes down a little bit and then they sell it. And then it goes up again, and then they buy it, then it goes down a little bit, then they sell it. And it's just like, I shouldn't even have told you, But I've learned from my mistakes. I entered the market, anything to do with making money online with crypto back in 2016. And I made a lot of money, a whole lot. I was in XRP at 16 cents, and it sold $3.28. Tron around a cent, and it sold, I think, 29 to 31 cents. That was a big deal back then. Things just went absolutely nuts. But that's why this Head and Shoulders failed, right? There was some confliction here. A failed Head and Shoulders is very bullish. Okay? A failed inverted Head and Shoulders is very bearish. One of my favorite things to play, because we're talking about technicals here, is puts on bull flags. When bull flags, let's just say this was a bull flag, started to break down, getting puts there for the length of the pole, right? Because there's going to be a volume gap there. Or, the bull flag breaks out and shoots up. Adding puts on the bull flag break, that's usually a top. Bear flag breaks are usually a bottom. But thankfully, I was wrong. I did not buy or play anything bearish. Buying puts on BTO or anything like that right now would just be absolutely stupid. Why would you be doing that before a halving? Right? If it drops, I'm just speaking out loud what I'm thinking. I'm not telling you all to do anything. If it drops, I can buy more. I'm not going to play puts because everyone keeps trying to catch the tops to short it during a halving, which is just the most lunatic. It's insane. Let's go ahead. We're going to go back on a monthly here. That's like buying puts, and going short over in here. Why would you do that? What if you inverse that? You just shut up and went long. You weren't going to catch this top. You're not catching that top. This top, there was a shooting star. Right? We're on a line chart right now. This is anchored VWAP, by the way, guys. There was a shooting star here, right? There's a Head and Shoulders right here, and the halving's well over. Right? That was shooting star, sure. There was also bearish divergence, sure. Right? We went higher. RSI did not. We had a Head and Shoulders over here. Now, that's something I like. Right? We didn't stay down for very long. We reversed pretty quickly here. And I think each cycle it's going to get shorter and shorter on... let me go ahead and go back here to a daily. There we go. I think each halving cycle, the bear market will be smaller and smaller, and it's going to start running up earlier and earlier, right? Which before it was completely different. So who knows how long this bear cycle will run? But I think it's looking like the days of people buying a Bitcoin are over. A whole Bitcoin now it's $70,000. So if the people that are, I know people that are Bitcoin maximalists, they don't care if Bitcoin's going up or down, right? But they'll throw all their money into Bitcoin and pay for stuff with fiat when Bitcoin's down, right? They'll still be buying Bitcoin when it's down. They stop buying it when it's bullish. They pay for things in fiat when Bitcoin's down. When Bitcoin's up, they start to use some of their Bitcoin to pay for things. But if you look at it, right, if you just look at how their lives are and their net worth and the cost of everything to them is seeing violent deflation. Like, for instance, back in 2020, Bitcoin was around $4,000 for a very long time. Let's pull something up here. 4,000, 4,500. It stayed around that level for a very long time, was bouncing between there. Low fours, high fours. 4,500 times, let's just say 50, right? 225,000. So basically in early 2020 and in 2019, it took 50 Bitcoin to buy a house, right? That was at the cycle lows. We'll do the cycle highs. The 4-year cycle high, since it runs in a 4-year cycle. So Bitcoin was 50 to 60,000. Let's just say 60,000. 60,000, right? That took times 4. Times 4. Yeah, so it took 4 Bitcoin from the top to buy a house, right? Before that, in the halving of 2017 to 2016, where it ran into late 2017, it was more delayed, right? So it took 4 Bitcoin from that last top to buy a house. Let's go back to 2017. So it was 20,000. So 20,000, right? Let's say times 15 equals, let's say 20,000 times 12, right? So it took 12 Bitcoin, okay? Then the last one, 60,000 times 4. It took basically, I'm shooting from the hip here, 4 Bitcoin. From 12 Bitcoin, then 4 Bitcoin. We're probably going to see 120,000, right, this time around. You know, we could see if we end up tripling from the top, which we usually do, 70, 7 times 3, 210,000. Let's just say we see 200,000. Right? How many Bitcoin is it going to take to buy a house? Right? Average house in America. We're going for a more expensive house here. Even though houses are going up, 200,000, right, times 2. Even though the price of houses went up, each cycle high, I don't know if it's going to go to 200. I assume it is. Each cycle high, it's like less and less and less Bitcoin. Everything around you, even though it's going up versus the dollar, is going down versus Bitcoin. You notice that? The average house, you could get a house for 240K all day, 225, 240K. It's very easy here in Florida, all over Florida. I don't count places like New Jersey or New York or California. That place, those are all disconnected to begin with. But the average home in America, in average states, right? You could get 225K, 240K all freaking day. Here in Tampa, everywhere, all over the place. Even within, a couple blocks of the water, yeah, 240K. Now the average home is, around 400,000 in America. Yet it still took half as much Bitcoin from the assumed high to buy a house. So it's like there hasn't been any inflation at all if you're a Bitcoin maximalist and your entire net worth is in it. Right? If you're going to buy things when it's nearing its high. Right? You can judge that by the time. Right on about a year after the halving cycle is usually the high. Right? I would say anywhere from 8 months to 14 months after the halving is the high of Bitcoin. And I always, there's usually always bearish divergence other than the halving cycle of, and that calls the high on the monthly of 2016 that ran into 2017. That was just a straight parabolic shot up. So what is it going to take in 2028? Right? Let's say I'm accumulating in 2027, a year before the 2028 halving. There's only going to be 1 Bitcoin left to mine in 2034. Right? This is the Bitcoin gold rush. It's going to take 100 years to mine that last one. Right? So how many Bitcoin is it going to take at that point? If it triples from there, it's 600,000 a Bitcoin. Right? Even if homes have ripped up to 500,000, it may take what? 0.8? 0.8 Bitcoin? What about what's 4 years after that? The 2032 halving. What about in 2033? How many Bitcoin then? 0.25? Everything just gets cheaper the longer you hold. Versus being in the dollar, things get more expensive and your dollar's worth less. You notice that? We're going to do a video coming up on Bitcoin versus gold. Now, I really like gold a lot. And I'll talk about the reasons why if you know how to play it. If you don't know how to play it, you're like, why would I invest in that, right? Regardless of the fact that it's beaten the S&P 500 over 20 years. Now it's neck and neck, right? They're neck and neck. It was beating it for a while, but rate cuts are coming and gold will catch up. But we're going to do a video next on that, on, how discussing things about how gold is inflationary. It isn't capped. Its inflation rate is around 2.6, right? With how much they mined. And the price is tied to the cost of diesel, things like that. But, any more bearish patterns pop up, I'm not trimming. I will wait. I will just ignore it. Or I'll wait for crypto to fall and I'll jump in. If any of my altcoins see above 500%, 4 to 500%, definitely over 500%, which they are, I'll be taking my initial investment out and rolling it into other altcoins that have a smaller market cap. If you guys like this content, Make sure to like and follow for more.